Hello and welcome to Healing Within, number 20. Last week we had the privilege of Lisa Drury talking to us about geomancy and many of the objects and crystals that she uses while she's doing that. This evening we will be talking to Matthew Greenwood, who does a multitude of energy work and energy information, so that should be brilliant tonight. This is very interesting already. Hello, Jessica. Unfortunately, I think you may have dropped in on the wrong channel, as you might be looking for a psychic and you have hit the wrong button. So thank you for joining us. In a few weeks, we're hoping to have a talk with a few people who do NLP, which is Neuro-Linguistic Programming. This is used by a lot of services and a lot of industries around many of the places that we visit, from car yards to your great JB Hi-Fi and Harvey Normans. All the people in there will use these forms of conversation in order to help or manipulate, one or the other, about whether you should buy something or whether you should. Hello, Nita. How are you? Good morning. I'm not sure where you're calling from, but if it's good morning, it's going to be somewhere on the other side of the world, I've got a feeling, because this is Australia and it's about 7:30 in the evening. But we thank you for joining us. I'm running, I've got all confused now and I don't know where I was up to and what I was doing, so it's probably best that I run through the aspects that we would like to take care of tonight as we go along. Now I'm going to go in there, and I myself, I should probably reiterate, I'm Roy Fensom and I am from Moonamask. I run Moonamask and I also run Healing Within in the abilities to help people find alternate therapies, alternate businesses, retail stores and the like that can help them in getting information about healing themselves or making themselves better. This is possibly spiritual, it's possibly physical, it's possibly emotional. So we try to find people in any of these areas. And if you're interested and you know somebody that has something that you would like to see shared with others, feel free to contact me at any point. And you can do that on roy@moonamask.com.au. And I will certainly take into attention anything that you send forward so that we can bring about more people having better relationships with themselves and healing themselves in whatever manner you see fit. Please share with friends and family. The more people that we can encourage to join in of an evening, the more people that we can help and get to share in future shows. The people that come on give up their time freely, and it's great if you can just come along and help them to promote what they're doing and help others by promoting it with your friends and family. Sometime tonight, if you have the chance, feel free to ask questions of the guests. They are always welcome to offer their opinions and their knowledge to help out where they can. So please feel free to ask questions of our guest when he comes on. I am going to drop that out, and I will now call up Matthew Greenwood, and we'll see if we can get a conversation started on where he is at the moment.
Hi,
hello,
Roy.
Matthew. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, it's always good to have somebody of immense knowledge coming on. I know that you're up in Queensland. What's the weather like up there at the moment?
Warm. Yeah, I've just jumped over the Queensland border into New South Wales, driving down to Melbourne to run some workshops.
We're not jealous at all. It's only been raining for the last couple of days, so we're not really jealous about it. Right, now, to get into some conversation, I am not fully particular with what you actually do, so it would be nice if you could explain to the peoples and myself exactly what it is that you do. So we've got a question already. What is it exactly you do?
Thanks.
There you go.
All right. Well, I work with shamanism. Shamanism is a way of living rather than just a type of work. So I've spent 30 years in the spiritual field, working, helping people. I run workshops teaching people about shamanism. So shamanism, in essence, is being self-aware, mostly of yourself first, to understand everything about yourself, because it's the negative things that are probably the most important and the most empowering things that we need to be looking at within ourselves, because this is where our life force is being lost in those negative aspects. So when we start to understand those negative aspects, which is what I help people to do, which quite often is on a subconscious level, and I help people to access that, then it's not a negative aspect anymore. It's actually a positive aspect, because once you face these negative aspects, they no longer hold fear, and then they empower you. I can give you an example of myself. 30 years ago, when I first started doing this work, I had a lot of difficulty talking in front of people. Two people got me nervous. So I had to understand where my fears of talking in front of people came from. So over many years, I certainly tackled that one, and now I'm, well, as some people have said, they can't shut me up in front of people. Once, if I've got an audience, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
There's a lot of people out there that it really does amaze me in a sense that I've talked to quite a few people about doing broadcasting, like on between you and I now, and they say, "But oh, I'd be so nervous." And you think, but you're running a stall, you're constantly talking to people, you're constantly inviting people into your body and your spirit, and you're giving that knowledge out, but to go on a broadcast and do exactly the same thing frightens us. That public speaking, and yet we're doing it all the time.
Somewhere I heard that public speaking is the most feared thing on the planet, above death. It's
Yes.
more fearful than dying.
Yes. Number one is public speaking, 2 is dying, and 3 is suicide.
There we go.
So it's unbelievable, and yet we do it all the time. We talk to each other.
Yes, yes. But it's talking about something that you're passionate about that a lot of people have difficulty with, and this quite often stems from not being grounded in who they are, not being confident in who they are, which relates to a lack of base chakra energy.
I've noticed that you put that in there in some of the comments, that there's the importance of being grounded in either yourself or in your mental abilities. Would you care to broaden out on that a little bit for us as to how one might become a little bit more grounded?
Most definitely. Look, a lot of people think that just barefoot on the earth is going to get them all grounded. It's nice to do that, but one of the major things that gets us ungrounded, that makes us ungrounded or makes our base chakra weak, is our personal baggage or our personal issues that we don't deal with. Let me give an example. A lot of this stuff stems back to childhood. I'm sure most people have heard of inner child work. Well, I take it a little bit further, but let's discuss what goes on for us when we're kids. So between the ages of, well, in the womb right through to probably early teens, puberty, what happens is we are very extremely open. We're like sponges in that period of time. And what happens to us, our ego has a protective mechanism that protects us from, let's say, being confronted with too much imbalance in the way we live. Now, a lot of this is not about beating up on our parents, because all of our parents mostly do the best they can. But what can happen, even the smallest things can upset a child. And if those things are done repetitively, well, that has a huge impact on a child. Now, when a child can't deal with that anymore, when they've had enough of that impact, no matter how big or small it is, what comes of that is the ego. Imagine like a bank of fuses at the back of our head. And when a child gets to a point where they go into overload, one of those fuses clicks out. Now, that relates to an inner child being manifested. Now, as soon as that occurs, there's a level of the base chakra energy that becomes weak. Because literally what happens, I see auras, and there's a line of energy, like a wormhole of energy that goes back from present day time back to that inner child. And when we're confronted with issues as we get older, if that inner child has been brought into balance, what happens is we become reactive to situations. But more often than not, most people on the planet don't even realize they have issues sitting there, because these experiences that we become reactive to have mostly suppressed. So in that suppression, there's energy that's being lost back in that time. When you bring the inner child into balance, and there's a few specifics needed for that one, then you actually clean up that wormhole of energy, then the reactivity goes. And you're left basically in a state of freedom from that aspect of you that's been out of balance. So,
is there any similarity between what you're talking about now and rebirthing?
Yes and no. I am familiar a little bit with rebirthing, but this takes it a lot further. See, I bring everything down to energy. And what happens in those times when we're in a family situation and we're young, when we're being impacted by people around us, mostly our parents, but can be other family members, what occurs, everything that we do has an energy behind it. You could say every word has an energy behind it, every thought and every action. When a child is being impacted by any one of those three things, thoughts from another person, words or actions from another person that are on a negative nature or not so good nature, then what happens with that child, they take that energy on and it becomes locked in their space. And the reason it becomes locked in their space is because this seems to have been a common thread with any inner child work, or even working with kids themselves. In that family unit, if there's imbalance going on around them, they believe that it's their fault. Because they believe it's their fault, they take on the impact of that projected energy that's coming at them, because they feel like they must deserve it. So in that case, that energy that can be other people gets locked into their space. And that's what actually controls our life, other people's energy.
Okay, I'm sort of heading off into a slightly different direction here. You mentioned like DNA and energy changes that are happening to us at the moment.
Yes.
I want to propose two items here. One, 5G that is coming up, and one is the amount of electronics that we now use from childhood up. Is that affecting the energy and DNA?
Oh, yes, yes, it does. It has a huge effect on our energy because in a particularly in a state of ungroundedness, that has an impact on us. We get too drawn into it because we're looking for something. If there's something missing within us because we're not grounded, then the natural process is to want to get drawn into something that makes us feel good. We can't find that feel good in ourselves, so we look for that feel good in something else, and so it's very easy to get lost into technology because of that. It's no different to drugs or alcohol, cigarettes. Um, that uh, addictive nature is very powerful, but coming from a very early age, that sets us up. We don't know the outcome of what will come of the addictive nature of computers, laptops, Game Boys, all of that sort of stuff, mobile phones. Um, there's still, we haven't had it long enough to really find out the long-term effect on this. We're already seeing it, but that does have a huge effect on our energy, and it ungrounds us more. We then become dependent on that technology to feel good.
Well, the information that's coming through at the moment is 5G is not going to make us feel good. It's basically going to microwave our brains.
It will. 5G is very toxic, and it's being seen all over the world as that. And there are countries around the world that are already outlawing it, not allowing it into their country. I don't know specifics, but I've read there are countries through Europe and I believe in South America um, that are outlawing 5G.
Yeah, but unfortunately, there's not enough of them. And now that they're bringing these receptors in closer together, it seems that the problem is only going to get worse in the future. So, how would this affect like the DNA aspect of us as humans? Does that change the DNA at all, or are we just naturally evolving?
We are naturally evolving, but because there are certain things that are actually having an incredibly positive effect on us. One thing I'm pretty sensitive to energy, and something I picked up on 8 years ago, which I was a little unsure about. Most people are aware that, like with a full moon cycle, or we have certain energies that come in to the planet, and then they seem to just dissipate, and then another cycle will come in. Well, what
Yeah.
started happening 8 years ago, and I had confirmation from this of this from a cosmic astrologist client of mine, and she was able to pinpoint exactly what it was I was feeling. So I started feeling it 8 years ago. What I felt was a very fine um, elevation in our environmental energy, in the frequency. And it didn't go down, it just kept going up. And it had been for about 3 years. And then I talked to this astrologist, and she said, "Oh, what you're talking about, you've just summed up the beginning of a 94-year cycle we're all in, which is the prelude to what's coming for humanity, the 1,000 years of peace and tranquility, the golden age." And so, what's happening with this, and this is the powerful stuff, and I'm doing talks on this now. 2.5 hour talks on the DNA and how it's affecting us physically. So what started happening, it would have been about, now, it would have been about 4 years ago, I started seeing this energy start to light up in certain spots within the body. And I was trying to make out what they were, because I was seeing just about every client I had, I started seeing these little almost orbs showing up that's in these certain parts. And what I got my anatomy and physiology books out, and what I was seeing was the glands. So the glands.
So this is how you read the energy?
Yes. Yeah. So I see and feel energy, and it shows up in colours or a vibration or a feeling, and so as these lights or these orbs started showing up in the glands, it coincided with something I'd been told many years ago by my guides, that there was a time coming when our DNA was going to start to change. And I saw a medical show over 30 years ago, would have been at 40 years ago, and it showed an example of our DNA, and this was said by a scientist at the time. And what he said was they used an animated diagram of a 3-drawer filing cabinet, and he pulled this bottom drawer out, and he just kept pulling it out, and it went out about 40 meters, and it was full of files, and he pulled out 12 files right at the front of the drawer, and he said, "This is human DNA. All the rest is just rubbish DNA. It doesn't serve any purpose." And I thought to myself back then, how can there be that much rubbish DNA within us? So I just shelved it. I put it in the memory banks, and then I started connecting with guides, and I channel ETs as well, and the information they've been giving me was that at a point soon, this was probably about 8 years ago now, at a point soon, that DNA will start to become active. All it was, that rubbish DNA or supposed rubbish DNA is just dormant. That's all. What it's been waiting for is the frequency to rise, which is happening now. We're 8 years into this, our environmental energy. The frequency has been raising for 8 years, and that's having an effect on our DNA. It's actually waking that DNA up, and within that DNA is extraterrestrial energy, and also
could there not be residual DNA from evolution as well, rather than just redundant?
Yes, I suppose there can be. But there's also, that's a lot of DNA that he was explaining that was rubbish, or supposed rubbish. And
I'm not saying that all of it is like from
it could
past,
be, yeah.
but there has to be a portion which would be, as we have grown and we've learnt new skills, our DNA has been passed on differently as we go. So some of that would be redundant DNA. Some of it would be like Homo sapien DNA. And then you're talking about another section of the DNA which we're waiting, or at least coming up to a period now where the retrogrades and the different energies that are coming in is gradually vibrating in a different manner to elicit a reaction in this unused portion of the DNA.
Exactly. That's correct. And that effect that it's having on us, that DNA can't just wake up and go, here I am. Our physical body has to integrate that DNA as it becomes active. And so those lights I was seeing going on, or those little orbs I was seeing in the glands are there to help keep the body in what they call homeostasis, which is balance and harmony. All of the physiological systems within us. And so as that DNA becomes active, then the glands become active on a higher vibrational level, and that's what I was seeing.
So this could be what some of the people are going through at the moment. Some of these people, they're feeling a difference in their energies, and that this would be not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing, and there's a common thing that people are feeling. So the glands throughout the body all serve different purposes. So what a lot of my clients and other people have been telling me that they've been experiencing, particularly as the glands first start to wake up on this higher vibrational level, is particularly for the pituitary and the pineal. There's sleeping habits have been put out of whack, so a lot of people are waking up in the middle of the night, 2, 3 in the morning, and can't get back to sleep. There also people have been finding, and it's not for a long period of time. It can be for maybe a few weeks to a few months as the glands adjust. But also the people have found themselves to be very sun sensitive, more than normal. So they go from inside the house to outside the house, and everything's so ultra glary. The thyroid and the parathyroid have been affecting us in ways that create heart palpitations and high and low blood pressure. And I've spoken to doctors that, let's say, are sympathetic to what I'm talking about, and they've been sending people along for tests. A lot of their clients, their patients, have been experiencing these effects, and they keep getting back positive results from that. There's nothing wrong with them, and but what it is, there isn't anything wrong with them. It's just the glands are going through an adjustment, and people have been going also adrenals. People have been going into adrenal overload when they're not actually running themselves into the ground at all. They're not doing anything to have that happen, and also for particularly women with the reproductive system and the glands there, period pain, and when there may be normal balanced monthly cycles, that can go completely out of whack too, and then come back to normal. So it's been an interesting effect, but what I'm finding now is that it seems to be slowing down, because most people have gone through these adjustments where the glands are waking up, and so the effect isn't quite as strong as it was 5 years ago.
We seem to be getting a few questions in here at the moment. As you can see, I hope you're catching them as we go past.
I am, yeah. Hi, Adair.
Yeah, we are definitely sharing this broadcast as much as we can, Adair. It's always happy to have you on board there. And, well, here we go. Somebody can relate to the palpitations, waking her up at night.
Yep. So don't think.
And Nicole asked, when did this all start? So you're saying about 8 years ago?
Well, I started feeling the changes, that subtle rising in frequency 8 years ago. But I started seeing those lights switching on, or those orbs switching on in the glands about 5 years ago. So, as people begin to wake up, it's been people have been starting to wake up on that level probably over the last 5 years. So.
You mentioned previously about the guides and the like. Did you want to sort of go into that and the emotional energy clearing? Maybe that can help some of the people that are tuned in.
Yeah, sure. So guides are one of the the major things I've seen right from the beginning, right from almost when I first started, pardon me, opening up 30 years ago. And um, I first saw a Native American guide with me who taught me a lot for many. He was there for many years with me. So guides are. Let's just explain briefly what guides are. Guides are aspects of your soul. So here's your soul. Your soul to evolve needs to have life experiences. So your soul sends its energy out into different time zones and has life experiences doing all kinds of things. Most people, when they think of past lives, um, they don't quite often. Well, they would realize that that's part of their soul. But what they don't realize sometimes is that those soul experiences, if they've been very evolved life experiences that your soul has had, they can end up becoming your guides as well. And so, if instead of looking at ourselves as the reference point here, I've had other past life experiences. We need to look at our soul as the reference point, saying, I'm one of those life experiences my soul's having, but my guides are other life experiences that my soul has had. And as you start to actively work with your guides, they become very powerful, and you have the wisdom of being a part of their energy. And suddenly, the person you are, that when you see yourself in the mirror, there's a whole lot more to you than just that singular uh, person that's in the mirror. There are many beings around us, and that ends up becoming the package of who we are. And so, along over the years, guides have helped me to explain to people and to give them understanding of their potential. They've also helped me a lot in understanding more about the healing process. And one of the major things that I help people with these days is to clear that energy, that projected energy that impacts us from childhood, and help those people that are ready to let go of that, to actually give that back to wherever it came from and free themselves of it. And so a lot of the work I do actually revolves around releasing that old energy that's not ours quite often, but our whole system runs off it. And until we can actually free ourselves of that and heal that child, um, the child is never completely healed until we release that energy.
Yeah.
That's what I help with. And
A question about the auras. Now I've seen aura photography and the like, and understand that the colours mean a great deal of changes and what's going on at that present time with a person. But the question I want to put forward is, can the average person find a way to either see their aura or tune into their aura so that they can understand where they are at that present time?
Okay. So one of the big reasons why every person that's spiritual can't see auras or hear guides or see spirits is because they're not 100% all there. They're not 100% grounded. The more grounded, and this has been a bit of a myth from when I first started. I was brought up when the New Age was kind of at its probably most intense. 30 years ago, the New Age in Adelaide was pretty full on, and
it's getting back there.
It is, but in a more grounded way, thank goodness. But what people used to think back then, and still do to some degree, they think if they want to get more spiritual, then they have to work on the heart up. So work on the upper chakras, that's the higher vibrational chakras. That's going to give them everything they need, which is in fact wrong. The base chakra is the most important chakra we have, and this is what I teach a lot of. if the base chakra isn't strong, it's kind of like the foundation of a building. If you've got a bad foundation, then the rest will crumble. And but the positive stuff is if you've got a strong base chakra energy and you're strong in who you are, then the rest of the chakras will be strong and powerful and stable. And so, in answer to your question, how do people see auras and pretty much deal with all of your personal issues? Don't keep shoving your personal issues down, but you need to face them. Can't escape that. If you want to grow spiritually, we need to make it our mission to clear out the baggage so that we can be free of it, because that's the thing that actually contracts our aura and dulls our aura. As soon as you clear any little bit of emotional baggage, what happens? Your aura immediately raises in frequency. It immediately expands out to a degree more, becomes more colorful, becomes more bright. And that's the thing that will connect you with guides, and that's the thing that will open up your vision more. And this is what a lot of people don't seem to realize, but it's probably the major thing that I help people with these days. And I work a lot with practitioners in the Adelaide area and helping them to get the most out of their skills and the most out of their abilities.
Well, I have put your web page up and your Facebook page at the moment, so it's in the comments if anybody is interested in checking out Matthew Greenwood and what he does. Is there any other way that you would prefer people to contact you, Messenger, or just leave a note on the page? Or
yeah, they can get onto me through the web page, or they can text me, or they can get me through Facebook. So emailing's probably one of the best to start with, because I am pretty busy these days, so it's a bit hard to answer calls.
So have we got an email? And I'll try and put it up there for them.
Is Greenwood Journeys with an S on the end?
All together.
Yep, at hotmail.com.
Hotmail. Excuse me while I type and talk to you at the same time. Right, I'm going to put that up in amongst it, and hopefully it will come up and people can contact you on your email address. It hasn't shown yet. There it goes. Greenwood Journeys with an S on the end at hotmail.com.
That's the one.
Now, have we covered everything you do?
Well, I teach.
We've forgotten to mention that if anybody happens to be out there and catches Matthew at some of the fairs and markets around, he also has instruments of great pleasure. I bought one of his American Indian flutes, and I have enjoyed every minute of it. It's got such a lovely sound. You also do drums. Anything else? Sage?
I make drums. I sell sage, a particular type of sage from South Dakota. It's called prairie sage, and it's quite a bit different to the white grandmother sage. It's a lot more powerful. The Lakota people use it for all of their ceremonies, and I've had nothing but success. Once people have worked with the prairie sage, they absolutely love it. But so yep, I sell sage. I sell a little bit of Native American jewelry, but mostly it's the flutes and the drums that I make. In fact, I've got a drum making workshop coming up on Sunday, the 11th of August in Adelaide.
That was my next question as to what you have coming up. I'll try and keep track of it. Just give me a second. Coming up.
Yeah.
Right, we have a workshop for drumming or making drums.
Drum making, yep. on
Yep.
Sunday, the 11th of August.
Sunday, 11th August at,
Sorry.
at,
At.
where are you doing?
In
Where are
Birdwood.
you doing?
At my home, at my clinic in Birdwood.
Right.
83.
Birdwood Clinic.
Yeah, they can get onto me first through the website.
Yep. I'll just put it up there so that people have something to go by. That's one of the good. That's the next one. We probably won't go too far. I won't put too many up there, but just keep them
That's
up
all
to date with where you're going to be for the rest of it.
Yeah, I've got so I'm doing quite a bit at Riverdale Spiritual Centre in Gawler, and we've got our teepee is set up in Gawler, so we've got a 20-foot diameter teepee, and so I'm going to be running meditations in the teepee on the Wednesday nights, 21st of August, 4th of September, and the 18th of September.
So if anybody's interested in those meditations, please let other people know to watch this in replay to get the information.
And I'll be
Excuse
teaching
me.
shamanism level 1 and level 2 at Riverdale also on the 26th and 27th of October, and level 2 will be the 23rd and the 24th of November.
So how does shamanism differ from spiritualism?
Shamanism is more a way of life. It's the understanding of shamanism. To fully understand shamanism, you have to be living in a way that is, let's say, promoting spiritual growth, but not just spiritual growth, physical, mental, and emotional growth as well. So this is the package that we are. We're not just spiritual. We're not just physical. We're not just mental or emotional. We're all four. So with shamanism, we are actively working on all of those four aspects of ourselves and working out where our fears are coming from, making sure we are dealing with those fears and confronting them as much as we possibly can when they do come up, so that they're not controlling our life. Once we actually clear that, a natural thing that just comes to the surface is our psychic abilities open up. And you don't have to read books to do it. All you've got to do is work on your personal issues and keep a clean space, be meditating on a regular basis, connecting with nature, doing good by yourself, and also doing good by other people. And it's just, I guess it's, look, I'm not perfect, and I'd be the last one to say I'm perfect, but this is the way I live my life as best I can, to be actively aware and conscious of who I am and how I live, how I think, how I talk, and this is what actually propels you forward spiritually.
I think all of us would agree that that's an ideal way to live. And I think a lot of us are trying our utmost to achieve just that goal, to be not just spiritual, to be an all-round person in accepting the emotions that are going on and releasing, to accept what's physically happening and the changes that are coming through. So, yeah, I, like you, am nowhere near perfect, but every day is a challenge, and every day we keep trying to be just that one step better. And hopefully that brings us to our final topic, which we'll try to get in about 5 to 10 minutes, which is spiritual growth. You have marked that down as being a major item in itself, so I thought I'd let you finish with that one.
Well, we've kind of been talking about that, but one thing I really wanted to squeeze in before I go, which is what I teach on the Saturday in level 1, is the understanding of how we play energy games. Now, in an ideal world, we should be getting life force, and this is what a lot of people don't realize, that we need life force to survive. We don't just live off bread and water. We need to have life force. Um, so what happens is, in an ideal world, we should be gaining that from the earth and from the
Mm.
universe. But the problem is, the way we're brought up, we're not brought up in a way that teaches us how to do that. And generally, what people learn, and it's just programming, what people learn when they're growing up is how to manipulate for energy. Because if you're not gaining it in a good way, in a positive way, then the only other place to get energy from is other people. And this is what keeps humanity going round and round in circles. It's people are waking up to this, but there are four major energy games that people play. One is the poor me, or the victim. The second
Mm.
one is people who play an aloof game or don't communicate, just refuse to communicate, go inward, or
Yeah.
sulk. Then there are interrogators, people who pound you with questions and statements. Not you, Roy.
I was beginning to wonder. Yeah, well,
Now
mm.
that's your job. No, people. So someone who pounds you with questions and statements. Where have you been? Who you've been talking to? All of that kind of thing. That's their control
Yeah.
freak.
Yeah.
And also intimidators, people who just intimidate with a look or are abusive. So these are four ways that people control to get energy or manipulate to get energy. And this is the thing that actually slows down our spiritual growth. So when we actually can acknowledge, and this is what level 1 is all about, when we can
Mm.
acknowledge the games that we play personally,
Yeah.
I tell you what, you can see through other people so much clearer. And then you learn through the course, you learn how not to engage with that, how to disconnect from people that play
Mm.
games. And
There's
this,
a lot of. I don't. I'm getting into an area here I probably shouldn't talk too much about, but there seems to be people that I am connecting with at the moment who seem to be very involved in a power struggle.
yes.
You have more than I have. You're getting more than I get. And they're pushing this forward onto other people, and it's not in a polite way.
No.
So is this part of the energy that we're going through at the moment, or is it just this aspect that they're picking up on and trying to be a power player?
No, good
To me, it's not
question.
exceptionally spiritual.
No, it's not spiritual at all. It's an energy game. What they're playing is an energy game, but why they're playing it, and this is the interesting stuff. So it's a great question. What's happening with this raising in frequency? There's a lot of positive stuff that's coming out of this, these changes in energy that we're in now, which is this is a 94-year cycle. It's going to be continuing for the next 86 years.
I'm not going to last that long.
Neither am I. But our children are, and this is the thing. We need to be supported. But anyway, back to the question. What's the flip side of the coin for this raising in frequency is people who are not looking at themselves, who are happy to play energy games and to judge, to get jealous, and to throw their energy around, their spiritual energy around, in a negative way. They're the ones that are getting squeezed at the moment. So they're feeling the pinch of this high vibrational energy. And if they're not doing the work, if they're not meditating and they're not looking after themselves and doing right by themselves and other people, then they're falling prey of this high vibrational energy. But it's what it's doing. It's squeezing and it's impacting the negative aspects of themselves. And it's actually going to just be magnifying it. And One thing that's happening now is mental illness is on the increase because of this, and people's physical health, if they're not prepared to look after physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, then their physical issues are coming to the surface and being impacted severely.
So are they sort of drawing energy from a negative side, or are they just not connecting with the positive energy?
Well, they're connecting. Positive energy is connecting with them, but what's happening is they're reacting to it because they can't handle it. They can't cope with that high vibrational energy, and what it's doing, it's impacting their negativity, and it's promoting that, and it's actually you're going to find people doing, and you already see it, people are doing erratic, there's erratic behavior going on with a lot of people these days, and it's going to get more so. You know, you see it on the news, you know, people are just flipping out, and but one part of the reason why they're doing this is that negative aspect of them is being squeezed by this high vibrational energy. So
it certainly explains a lot of the questions that are going on at the moment. And Nicole Haley has just mentioned the energy at the moment is pretty full on. So.
Well, we've just come out of a full moon with, I think it was Mercury in retrograde again. Yeah.
There we go. I'm feeling it now too, especially struggling with relationships. So it would affect relationships as well?
Oh, most definitely, because there's not just one person, you've got two people that are possibly going through the same issues. You know, their negativity is being squeezed, so it's going to have a huge impact on them, and unless they can find a balance somehow. But the biggest thing with discord between people or lack of harmony between people is when those energy games come out to play, any of those four energy games I mentioned, what's behind them, the energy behind them is a child out of balance. So when people are playing energy games, you're actually not dealing with an adult. You're dealing with a child that's just grasping for life force, grasping for energy because they can't access it.
Grasping for attention.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just to finish off, just please give the later people who may have just dropped in where you're going to be in your next couple of months again, and we'll probably close it off with that.
So I'm doing a very quick psychic development course in Melbourne on Saturday the 27th, drum making workshop in Adelaide, Sunday the 11th of August, meditation in the teepee in our teepee at Riverdale, Wednesday the 21st of August, Wednesday the 4th of September, Wednesday the 18th of September. I'm going to be at the Whole Life Expo, I'll have a stall there in Adelaide, and doing some talks on Saturday the 5th and Sunday the 6th of October. And we've got Shamanism Level 1 at Riverdale, Saturday the 26th and 27th of October, and Level 2, Saturday the 23rd and Sunday the 24th of November.
We have a question. Could you state the four energy types? Victim, salt, silent, treatment. Can't remember the other two.
Okay, so we've got the victim or the poor me.
Yep.
There's the aloof or the sulky, silent one. There's the interrogator, the one that controls through, you know, who have you been seeing? Who have you been talking to? Where have you been? Why did you take so long to do that? And then there's the intimidator.
Prelude to bullying.
Sorry?
Prelude to bullying.
Yes, yeah. And so intimidator is the true bully, whether it be through a look, through words, or through physical abuse.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about anybody else, but I have enjoyed every moment that you have spoken. I am far
Thank
more
you.
educated now than I was 50 minutes ago. So I hope that you have managed to get across everything that you plan to do. I've certainly
did, Roy.
enjoyed listening to you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for
hopefully
having
at some other point I would like to get you back and we might have a different topic and see if we can talk about something else. Crystal Wright, narcissists, a fifth group.
Oh, that's a whole workshop.
Thank you very much, Michael. I will look forward to talking to you in the future.
Yeah, Matthew.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that's how to offend people, isn't it? Sorry, Matthew.
That's okay. No, thanks, Roy,
Yeah.
for having me.
No worries.
Loved it.
You're all right. Good night, mate.
Thank you.
Matthew is a brilliant speaker, as you've heard, and he has some wonderful courses and coming up shortly. If you need to contact Matthew, that's one of the places that you can go, Greenwood Spiritual Journeys. That is the Facebook page that I threw up there. Now, you can also go and get in touch with Michael at his website. I've also put that in the comments, so you're more than welcome to go into that area and just have a look and make a contact. You click on the link and you should be able to get through on that. Next week I'm opening up the channel. So what I want to do is people who use NLP, if you use NLP in your business for hypnotherapy or whatever it is you're doing, I'd like to get some people on here that would like to talk about NLP, its uses, how it feels, what sort of influence it has on other people, and how people in general can use it to make their lives just a little bit better. Also, we have a bunch of markets coming up shortly, and probably next week I will be just leaving a few notes on some upcoming markets that may be happening in the near future. This is just a quick promo, nothing special. So if you're interested, at the end of the show, we will put up a couple of markets that are coming up just so that you can go along. And again, if you know of somebody that is doing something particular that you think other people would be really interested in, then either drop me a line or drop them a line and tell them that we are looking for people to bring forward subjects that heal people within, that is emotionally, spiritually, physically, so that we as a general populace can heal ourselves. This doesn't prevent us from going to doctors and chiros and the like, but it does give us an alternate source to help healing. Now, you might be making lotions, potions, unguents. You might be making drinks with herbs and the like. Now, any of that is healing within because we're using nature and its elements to heal. So please, if you have the time, you have the energy, get in touch with somebody and let them know that we are interested. And there are other people out there that are truly interested in this. So please contact me at facebook.com/moonandmask or email me at roy@moonandmask.com.au. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and we look forward to seeing you next week for Healing Within 21, which will be about NLP. Please share. Please ask people to watch this in replay. And please send in items that you think would be of interest to us and other people. Good night, and I say namaste to all of you, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much.